Yes, it wasn't exactly a minute. It was more like a couple of seconds, right? We needed you back here because I might take a shot. Anyway, welcome to the compound, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from Tennessee. Yes, the home of who? Alvin York, Greg Allman, Jeff Quinn, all sorts of great people we claim who maybe weren't born here, like Elvis, Johnny Cash, and about 500 famous country music singers, right? You do know Nashville is famous for country music. I assume that everybody knows that. All right, let's take a shot with this beautiful rifle at this long range. Wow, bullseye. Can you imagine? Oh boy, let's start out with a gong hit. You want to? Oh, nice sound. Takes a little while for it to get there. It's a rifle. We might talk about that. Let's see if it takes a long time to get to that bowling pin right there. Staring me in the face. Or that red plate. I just thought of something else to talk about. Not hard for me, is it? I'll probably forget it though by the time I get back to you. Oh man, well, let's get that black plate down there. Just thought of something else to talk about. We'll leave an empty under the firing pin, okay? It's a great way with a lever gun. It's cool, unlike with am I shouting at you? Unlike with an AR-15 or something, semi-automatic gun, when you fire it, guess what happens? Really quickly, another fresh round gets thrown into the chamber, so it's ready to fire again. You got to do something to make it safe if you're going to lay it down or whatever. Lever guns they're great because kind of like a revolver. You know, you could take a shot and it's still loaded, but at least under the hammer. Well, a revolver is different than a lever gun, really. I mean, this lever gun, I could cock it and pull the trigger 8 times. It's never going to fire because there's a dead, case under the dead case. There's such thing as a live case, but there's a empty case under the, the hammer. Whereas with a revolver, if you picked it up and pulled the hammer back, if it's a single action or double action, yeah, you would put another live round under it, right? So anyway, y'all knew that. Why am I explaining that? But I thought of, and it's one of the advantages. You see, I shot that close plate and the long plates, whatever, with a pistol caliber rifle. It's one of the advantages of it because you can shoot anything. The 4440, which is what this is. You've probably seen this before. My 1892 Winchester was made. This one was made in 1923, I believe. And well, I got it. I confused it with my other one. I think it's 23, and the other one was 1917, or vice versa. But it's old, and it's chambered in 4440, which is an old cartridge. But it's basically, even though it came out in a rifle, Winchester centerfire 44, it in 1873, it's really a pistol cartridge power. It just is. And so that makes it fun. Like 45 Colt, you can shoot close targets, steel, just anything you want to, basically. So it's kind of a big advantage. Plus, you got a little more power. You can reach out, longer sight radius with a rifle than a handgun. I tell you that. Yeah. Barrel stall and Talon grips I happen to have on this pistol right here, Glock 43X. I have 2 layers of them. In fact, it makes that feel really good to me. So I wanted to shoot it. I carry it a lot, and I thought I'd shoot it. And I wanted to shoot this son. We'd done a video with it and recently, and I hadn't cleaned it thoroughly. I'll shoot that, so I want to shoot some more. And that's what I'm doing. 4440. Yeah, I bought some ammo for it back when you could buy ammo, and Buffalo Outlaw Cowboy ammunition furnished us some. I still got some of that. And so fortunately I've got some ammo in 4440 for it. I don't load 4440, but it's a nice round. Let's take that empty case out from the chamber and put a live one in there. Okay, you want to? Let's do that. Notice how long it takes to get to the gong. I can see those hits. I didn't think I'd be able to see them. It's because it's a lead bullet, no jacket. You can usually see where it hits a little bit easier. Let's hit a gallon jug hanging. Why is he doing that? Well, let's empty him. We still have an empty case under the hammer, so pretty neat. Great for woods walking. You can take a few shots, just don't rack in a new round, and you're really pretty safe. So safety only goes so far, though. I mean, you're always relying on your mind. We like to say the only real safety is between your ears. That's basically true. I know it's a trite saying. It's oh so clever, and some people don't like anybody saying that because certain safeties do have benefits over others and none and all that kind of thing. And there's a limit to how much you want to depend on what's between your ears, right? But it really is. You can't make a firearm foolproof. You can't make a car or a chainsaw, a ladder foolproof. Yeah, you just can't. If you have a thumb safety, a lot of people, I think, for example, with this handgun, they not all that familiar with firearms, or maybe fairly familiar, might tend to think, okay, if it has a thumb safety, boy, it's just so much safer. This gun is. Well, I could be messing with this gun. It's got a safety on, thumb safety, and I'm messing with it, and I flip off the safety and have my finger on the trigger. Okay, I'm messing around. I got my finger on the trigger when I shouldn't. I'm messing around. Thumb safety's off. Boom. I shoot something or somebody. I mean, the safety is only as good as what's up here. I'm going to take that safety off at some point, whether I'm at the range or in a defensive situation. Once I take the safety off, then there's no safety on. So at some point, there's not going to be a safety engaged on this gun, right? Or it's of no use. So that time, which could be a very stressful time, once that safety is clicked off, am I going to handle things correctly? So either way, you need to have the right attitude about your trigger finger and what's going on. Keep your sense about you, whether you're at the range or in a stressful situation, just whatever. So it is between your ears. It really is, and through habit, that kind of thing. So yeah, the Glock 43. I carry this a lot. I've got my my holster, Alabama holster. I like for Glock 43. And I told you, let's just come out of the holster. All right, this is a pocket holster. So I'm gonna go into my pocket, and I'm gonna pretend the bad guys have surprised me, and they're just being bad. Yeah. Oh, I got another magazine, ammo. Let's see if we can get one of these on the gong from this little guy. I knew that was low. I knew it was low. At least it should have been low, because my sights were just below the target when the trigger broke. That is a very clear sight picture, though, I have to say. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a nice one. A lot of people would not put the Glock 43X in the category of like a Hellcat or P365 or the new Shield Plus, the Max 9, because they hold a 10 rounds and a flush magazine and a shorter magazine. And but man, this thing is nice, it really is. And I just regard the Glock mag. I'm not going to rely on an aftermarket mag, for one of these to get more rounds. It just feels good. Gosh, it feels good. I've confessed in the first video, I didn't trash it, but I didn't see a real purpose for it over the other Glock, the Glock 43, because of the long grip. I didn't feel like, but I discovered later I could use that as a pocket gun, and it's borderline, but it works. Especially if you're someone like me. I don't care whether I print, really. Okay, I can carry open Tennessee if I want to, but so I don't worry too much about that. So it's not quite maybe as concealed, but oh man, just the control over that thing. And then again, you know me, I'm contradicting myself, I guess. I use these two fingers mainly. I don't use that little finger much for control. But you know, I just discovered the reason that even though I don't use that little finger, with this pressed against the palm of my hand, whether I use that little finger or not, having that extra length is a benefit. Yeah, it is a little benefit. It feels better. I don't know if it benefit in the real world, but it just feels good. I feel like I can shoot that as well as a Glock 19. As far as the grip and the feel and everything, it's a little jumpier. It's just a lighter gun. So as far as follow-up shots and things, it's not going to be quite as quick as a Glock 19. But as far as everything else, just the feel of it and getting it on target, feels good. So here I am. What am I going to talk about? I don't know these guns a lot. It's tough to know what the proper or best gun for you is, isn't it? I talk a little bit about this, I guess, almost every week. Get a little hoarse, but it's pony. Because there's so many good pistols out there. And I think I talked last week about being careful of just bouncing around from different one to different one like I kind of do. I got my favorites, and they all kind of operate the same way. Pull and shoot, similar feel, and generally similar sights and everything. But you know, if you're a new shooter, you need to find one you like and can shoot it well and stick with it for a while, not bounce around a lot. Because, as I said last week, there's a lot of them that are great, and you know, there's 5 or 6 or 10. Any one of those we could drop into your lap with some ammo, if that could be found, right, and send you to the range, and you would like that firearm, and you would learn to shoot it well with some practice. And so you have to be careful, because you really you can keep yourself from making as much progress in your shooting skills and confidence level if you're switching around too much from gun to gun. You know, so I recommend new shooters stick with one gun as much as possible. If it works for you, learn to shoot the thing. Get really second nature. Make it second nature. Whether to dry fire, real ammo, and everything. You just know that firearm, how it operates. Take it apart, put it back together, clean it, shoot it, and just make it a part of your being. Okay, because it's important. If you're going to carry a gun, have a gun, which so many people do. You know, about 8 million new gun owners in the last year, you know, on top of everybody else had guns. So it's a decision a lot of people have come to. It's not to be taken lightly, but then again, it's not like carrying a rattlesnake. Like I said, as long as you keep your head about you, okay? And in fact, it makes you, if you have a gun on you, it makes you, this is something anti-gunners don't get, but it makes you actually a more deliberate person. You generally, almost everybody, if you have a loaded firearm on you, you have a little bit of different mentality. You're not going to just jump into some situation, you know, someone's having an argument, or you're less likely to get involved in any kind of thing like that, because you have lethal force on you. And that comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of legal responsibilities, a lot of legal bills, you know, if you have to pull that thing or whatever, you know. So you don't want to be involved in anything, but you just want to have the ability to make sure nobody involves you in something you don't want to be involved in, you know, like an attack or an assault or whatever it might be. So, you know, a lot of people that carry just a really little gun, they call it a get off me gun, is a common phrase. And it's kind of what all of them are for us citizens. It's a get off me gun. It's to break contact. It's you're not a cop. Probably. I mean, some of you are, but I mean, I'm not. We're not. Most of us are not cops. We're not Secret Service. We're not military, involved in combat. We just want to not be assaulted, and so we're just looking for a way to get it. We just need to get away from the case. We don't want to. You don't want to be involved if you don't have to be. Wow, you're looking at a lot of time in court, probably, whether it's justified or not. A a lot of expense and a lot of time in court, you know. So that's okay if it's what saves our life, right? That's the only way we can save our life or somebody close to us. But you don't want to be involved in anything unless it's absolutely necessary, okay? But then again, you don't want to hesitate once you realize I have no choice, okay? So my little piece of advice there about carrying a gun, and yeah, that's a pretty nice little gun. Glock 43X, yeah. And you saw last week I had my my SIG, new SIG, P365 XL. I really like that one too. I really like a lot of firearms. As I said last week, I'm turning into a SIG person, I guess, just through default. I don't know. FN. I really, if you said, here, take a gun and go defend yourself, you're going to be attacked in about an hour or whatever. You can give you a handgun, 9mm. Okay, I don't know. It'd be a tough choice for me. Glock 17, 19, the SIG, the M17. I like that. It's a key gun. You know, that FN midsize, fits like a glove. Great shooter. Glock 19. This gun, you know, I mean, it's a great gun. But you know, if I know I'm going to be attacked, give me a shotgun, or give me a bigger gun with more ammo, maybe at least than a handgun. There's just so many great guns out there, and it's hard if you're inexperienced. Wow, I don't know, maybe in some ways it's easier. You don't know, maybe you don't know about all the great guns out there. But the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. That's like anything, and it's just tough to decide. I know, narrow it down. There's a lot of you are looking for a small gun. I mean, you really can't go too wrong these days. There's so many good choices, and those micro compacts. You know, the Hellcat, the P365, the Ruger Max 9, the new Shield. You know, some of those won't be available, and you may have a hard time finding anything right now. But if you want capacity in a small package like that, you know, how you beat any of those really. You know, Glock 43X, but it's not too big. Glock 43, whatever. There's a lot of great ones that have come out in the last few years. They don't hold 10 rounds in a flush mag, but they hold enough ammo probably. You know, so, and as I think I've already said, a lot of those will be on the market too, because now you got 4 or 5 small guns like the P365 that hold 10 rounds on a flush magazine at least. And so, wow, a lot of people they're just going to fork over the buck. Just like the new iPhone or whatever it is. Wow, it's a little better. It holds 3 more rounds or whatever. Same size gun, you know. And so that makes it an even greater time to find a firearm, because you could get a used Shield or a G43 or whatever that's maybe a little less desirable. Someone has traded them all. They've been traded in because they don't hold 10 rounds in a flush mag. They're still great guns for a great price. My gosh, the Shield, as I said in a video recently, I think I'm thinking they were selling for like $200, $250, you know, those old Shields years ago. They were new, but just, so there's a lot of good guns at good prices. And there's no telling what you might find a used Shield for, or a used Glock 43 as these other guns become more available. Here I go on my high point story, but that's what I'm saying. If you can put another $50 with your money, or $75, there's quite a big difference between like a high point C9s and like a Shield or a Glock 43 or something like that. You know, if you know, just a little more money get you a used gun that's a real gun. Did I dare say? No, high points work. They work. I'm not going to give people more grief over their high points. I've already done that. I exceeded my limit doing that in the first video we did. So I was bad. I admit it. I was bad. What should I shoot? Do I have any more rounds in this thing? Let's find out. You want to? The 4440. It looks like a 45, doesn't it? It really does. If you give me a handful of them, as experienced and wise and genius as I am, I can't just look at those and say 4440, you know, unless I can see the head stamp, then I can tell from that. I mean, they just look like 45s, but but they're 4440. I mean, the case is a neck. It has a ever so slight taper. Its neck just a little bit. If you look at it, you can sort of tell, but it's hard to. So let's take a couple shots. It's an old cartridge. Goes back to 1873. This rifle, this Model 92, goes back to when? Good guess, 1892. All right. There's an empty. There's a live one. Let's hit the coffin. Boom. Didn't I miss something on my last shot? Well, that was with the handgun, right? Okay. I was going to make up for my earlier sins here. Let's take out a hog. Boom. Got another one. How about that 2-liter right there? Popped it. Cowboy. Got to shoot the Cowboy. Yeah. After all, it's an old West cartridge. Yeah. How can you not shoot the Cowboy with a rifle like this? And you know, the cartridge, that old. So pretty cool. That's my thinking anyway. And of course, my thinking is always right on, right? So am I recording now? Make sure. Okay. Yeah, pistol caliber rifles are just a lot of fun. Whether it's kind of like a 9mm AR-15 is fun, and these old lever guns and pistol caliber are a lot of fun. I think I've told y'all, when I got into cowboy shooting, I remember being almost mad because I had everything. I finally found every gun I needed, and I didn't have a rifle. You had to have you still have to, I guess, a rifle that fires a pistol caliber cartridge, right? And a lever gun. And I guess a pump, yeah, the old pump Colt works, whatever. But I had the 4570, the 1886 Browning, you know, the Winchester Centennial, and loved that gun. And that's the ultimate cowboy gun. I thought, why can't I use that? I got to buy a lever gun that's in a pistol caliber. Why do I want that? I've got my 4570, you know, the ultimate Winchester, you know. And so I got looking around, and I visited a match and saw a lot of guys were using, gals were using the Marlin Model 94, and more so than anything else at that time in 1997, you know, they were using that and mostly, and then the 1873 kind of picked up use through the years, it seems like, you know, remakes of it, the U-Birdies and the 1873 Winchester reproductions. But so I got to looking around for one of those Marlins, and they're kind of pricey, you know, like $600 at the time. And I finally found one. I think it was in Louisville, Kentucky. No, I saw one there. I didn't buy it. I saw one in Nashville later and bought it in 1890. This was 1997, okay, when I got into it. And I just fell in love with it. I you know, trying to guess what use I would have for that. But I was naive, and that's not all that long ago. But I just really fell in love with shooting it. It was fun in matches. It was just fun plinking around the place, just like this. It's essentially what this is, you know. You know, the Marlin Model 94, the Winchester Model 92, they're very, very similar type gun, you know. And the 45, which is what my Marlin is in, Colt, and the 4440 are similar. So not a lot of difference, you know, shooting this versus my Marlin, and just a lot of fun. If I had the ammo, I could just shoot this thing all day. A lot of little, if any, recoil too. So if you have little ones or you're recoil sensitive, you get you a lever gun like this, and you know, in a pistol caliber, 357 Magnum, 38, 45, 4440, whatever, that you can get ammo for. It's not easy sometimes. And I mean, just no kick at all, none at all, really, because the guns are not light, and you know, they're pistol cartridges. So the 4440 was later. It became famous. A lot of people have the idea that everybody in the West in the old days carried 4440. The 45 was overrated. Not that many people carried. They carried this, the 4440, because they could chamber their rifle and their handgun. Just one cartridge and all that. Simplify. There was some truth to that, but the 4440 Colt didn't come out. Oh boy, here I am. Why did I even start talking about this? It was in the later 70s. It was like 1877, I want to say. Okay, and you know, Colt 45, the Colt single action, and 45 Colt had been out for a long time before that, you know, and it was more powerful, really. And so the 45 Colt, just in terms of numbers and production, there's like way more 45 Colt chambered single action Army Colts, you know, than any other caliber. So anyway, but it was very popular and it was handy. I don't know the original loading of it. I don't know how powerful it was. I've never loaded any of these. I've never seen any that were kind of hot. I guess for one thing, there's that fear they'll end up in an old Winchester 1873, because there's a lot of those around chambered in this. It might have been made in 1873 or 1880, you know. Kind of like the 4570. You got to be careful with commercial loading. Somebody put one in an old trapdoor, and so there's special loadings for modern guns in 4570. I don't know of any for this, because, you know, I don't know what guns you know, you got 44 Magnums. You want Magnum. You don't need this, you know. But I tell you, where I'm getting to here, the 45 Colt, long Colt to some people, but the 45 Colt, as it was originally loaded, full case of black powder, of course, it's powerful, because I have loaded for a lot of 45 Colt with black powder, because I competed in SAS using, I did the Frontier cartridge category, and I shot black powder. And so I messed with that a lot, loaded a lot of 45 Colt cases with black powder and 250 grain bullets. And I loaded almost a full case. I don't know, it wasn't Magnum, but it was a serious round. I didn't load them down, okay? It was a serious round. But I used a wad or two to avoid leading and different things, just a wad and stuff, and lube. So it was powerful, but it wasn't a Magnum. But one day I just want to see, I'm going to get as much black powder in that case as I can and load some without a wad or anything. And I went out and shot those with a Colt single action, the third generation. I remember I had a couple of nickel ones I competed with for a while. And just standard Colt single action, 5.5 inch barrel. And I touched those things off one-handed, and it hurt. I mean, it really was a Magnum, essentially. And that's what they wanted. They wanted a cartridge that would drop a horse, you know, the cavalry did, and stop a horse, and that would. It's a serious round, those early on. I think they reduced the load because the soldiers, cavalry, whoever, they were having a little difficulty hitting anything with them. It was just a little too powerful, okay? And it's probably hard on the guns. I really would not want to shoot a lot of those and a third generation Colt, you know, a new one, much less one made in the 1880s. Powerful stuff. And so there's no slouch at all. You would probably not enjoy shooting a lot of those in a 45 Colt. And you don't think of the 45 Colt case and cartridges being that hot. But I tell you what, you fill that case up with black powder and it's hot. It's hot. So anyway, enough on that. I know you're interested in that because most of you will be loading a 45 Colt with black powder probably this week. Yeah? You never know what I'm going to talk about. Let's shoot this thing. I have a loaded magazine, 43X. Okay. All right. Oh, that's what I missed the gong with. Let's see if we can hit the gong with it. Get it hold up on it, I think. There we go. Yeah, I gotta bring it up. Yeah. Plus, it's a short sight radius. I mean, when you're going long range, you've got to really make sure your sights are aligned perfectly. Who else? Ring some steel. Yeah, the 43X is a great little gun. It jolts you a little bit. You know you're shooting a real gun, even a 9mm, but not enough to matter. You got plenty of grip, and it handles it well. So, yeah, what else was I going to talk about? Anything matters to you? No, not really. Again, I'm now doing this one a little early, okay? So if the world comes to an end before Sunday, I'm sorry if I don't mention it, right? Okay, if there's a nuclear blast, you know, somewhere in Kentucky, and I don't mention it today, that's a reason, okay? I do this one a little early. Got stuff going on. As you can see, it's spring. It's not something I did back in February or anything like that. And maybe traveling a little bit. I might have to do my next Sunday shoot around from somewhere else. I don't know, some undisclosed location. I don't know if I'll be able to shoot. We'll see. I don't really want to miss a Sunday, like I said last week, but you never know. Well, at least say hi, okay? At least say hi and touch base with you. So what else? These guns, I was going to talk a little bit about the Hollywood stuff, you know. I mean, this is just a really, really nice gun. If you're a young person, you might have the impression in your brain that, yeah, it is pretty neat. Doesn't have the big loop lever though, you know, like my hero John Wayne or the Rifleman had. Or if you're an adult, you just haven't studied these things. It's not a real lever gun, you know, if it doesn't have a big loop lever, that kind of thing. And of course the Rifleman's would fire automatically when he closed the lever, right? No, that's the thing. Well, there might have been somebody that had a big loop on their gun. I don't know. That's Hollywood though, generally. That's Hollywood, all right? And of course it's found favor in some of the modern Marlins, maybe Winchesters and others too. I don't know, for hunters, people hunting cold areas and wear mittens like the people in Kentucky, or big gloves. You know, it helps to have a big lever for them, you know. So you do see that sometimes, but that's mostly Hollywood. You get a lot of Hollywood. One thing about the Rifleman, I love the Rifleman show. I still like it. That show has withstood the test of time so well. You know, the writers, which I think Sam Peckinpah direct a lot of those. But that show, it has good writing. Unlike some shows that are, you know, date back to the 50s, 1950s or early 60s, you know, some of them are a little cartoonish, like the Lone Ranger. I didn't realize what a cartoon the Lone Ranger was. He was my hero. I loved that show. But I didn't realize till I saw an episode later, you know, when I was 20 or something, is that, oh, okay, that's right. They're shooting from behind paper mache rocks, and the dialogue was, yeah, it was about eight-year-old level, that kind of thing. But that's okay. It beats some of the stupid space cartoons and things that make no sense. But some of the shows are really are good. They're still good. The Rifleman is one of them. If you haven't seen The Rifleman, check it out. Just good. Chuck Connors and let's see. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Little Mark. Oh man, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Crawford, Johnny Crawford. See, told you I had it right on the tip of my brain. Johnny Crawford. His brother played in Laramie. You remember? They looked very similar. And I think Johnny Crawford was a better actor, but maybe partly he got a lot of experience. You know, in Laramie, the Crawford boy, I don't know what his name was. He was just sort of there, and he had parts, you know. But Jess and what's his name, you know, the other characters had the bulk of the dialogue and everything. Whereas in the Rifleman, you know, it was Lucas and him was the family, and so he might have gotten a lot more coaching and more time on screen. But great show, and as I've said before, it's something I think we're missing today, especially it's sad because so many people don't even have parents, or they don't have a dad or a mom, and they're raised by their buddies on the street or something, and so they don't know it's wrong to steal, or they're not getting any ethics built in at all. A lot of those shows, as corny as it sounds, really did. I think they always had a lesson to teach, and you might have thought it was a little hokey at times, but really it was good stuff for kids to be watching. Now I know there's a lot of shooting and dying. It wasn't graphic, but a lot of shootouts. But there was a lesson almost every week, and in that show, that was worthwhile. And a lot of us grew up on all those kinds of shows, and it was just reinforced, what our parents were trying to teach us, or at school, or whatever. So TV and shows are very influential. Need I tell you that? So it wasn't all bad, and then too, for adults, the Rifleman was just a interest. I love to watch it. It's not on the Westerns channel. It's on, TV Land, or some of the MeTV, some of those other channels where they have actually more commercials than they have the TV show. All these dumb pop culture commercials. If you don't have a DVR, it's basically unwatchable. And even with the DVR, you got to lay on the fast forward for about 5 minutes to get back to the story. So it's hard to watch. I got some of those on DVD, but anyways, it's a great show. But I was going to say, the way I saw his rifles, they were up at Friendship Traveling Museum, and up at Friendship, Indiana, at one of the Black Powder National Shoots one year, and I looked at them very closely, and I've observed them in the show too. He got the big loop, of course. Lucas McCain does, and if you ever notice how that works, his work, he has a screw. He's like, he just drilled a hole right up through there, okay, and then a screw, about 2 inches or whatever, up into there to where it contacts the trigger. So when he closes that screw is like, if I put my finger there, it's that screw pulls the trigger. It's going to hit the trigger, okay, and shoot it. And so, in other words, if that screw is turned inward, fully, you can't close it without the hammer falling, okay? So, and then I guess you back it out when he doesn't want it, whatever. But anyway, as I learned more about firearms, got to thinking about this a few years back. I was wait a minute now. Of course, they're cutting and everything in the filming of it, but when you think about it, think about how tricky that would be. If you got that screw in there, it'd be annoying to have to undo it very often, but because anytime he needs his gun, he seems to have that capability. Boom, boom, boom. He's firing without touching the trigger, right, with his finger. But anytime you close the lever, guess what's going to happen? If you put it around the chamber, you can't close the lever without what? Bang! Without it firing. It's like always having your finger on the trigger when you close the lever and the hammer falling and shooting you. So that would be rather annoying, especially if you're spinning the rifle, doing weird things. So, but that's Hollywood. That's okay. That's what helps make the show popular, brings people to it, and it probably brought a lot of people to lever guns. Probably did me in terms of being fascinated with them and everything. Lucas McCain was a good guy, a good father. It was a great show. And if you knew, he was like a professional basketball player and a professional baseball player. Played for the Celtics, maybe the Lakers, another team, I think, and then I don't know, the Dodgers, some professional baseball team. I think maybe that's when he got into acting, maybe in L.A., playing professional baseball, and maybe he got hurt, or maybe he's just old enough to retire. I don't know, but got into acting. And I'm thinking he played football too. I don't know, but interesting fellow, and a pretty good actor. So, but anyway, you get that stuff in the movies, the guns. I tell you that it's hard for us gun people to watch a lot of movies. Well, it's not. We love them, but it's difficult sometimes because of the craziness and things they say about firearms, or how badly they have violated the time warp they've got. Like, for example, this gun's the best example of that, right? There's no gun that represents that more clearly. The 1892 Winchester, it's ubiquitous in Western movies. The 1894 as well. And I'll tell you what to watch for you. You know how different the 1873 is? That's the one they should be using in most of the Westerns, okay? But I guess that's just hard to get those, or maybe they don't use blanks as well, or whatever reason. Because they go back to 1873, imagine that. And they have an elevator, and it's a brass elevator. It comes up like the Henry does. Now the frame is not brass, but you can just tell if it's 1873. The 1892, like this one, just notice, and as you're watching Westerns, you watch for that. You see the loading gate is kind of smallish. It's not really long. Again, it's a pistol caliber rifle, really. Okay, even some of the chamberings for the 92, maybe there were no pistols. I was at 32, 40, or I don't know. Some I'm not that familiar with, but there may not have been a handgun even chamber, but they're really handgun power, and they were smaller cartridges and cases. So you got that smallish. And then your screws, you got the two screws here, and you got the hole up here, okay, for the trigger, or not, that's for the, I used that when I was replacing the firing pins. Well, anyway, you got the hole up there, okay. So get a mental picture of that, and the screws, there's a good shot of it. Those the screws where they are, and the loading gate. Okay, kind of a smallish loading gate. And then, of course, the telltale signs when they pull the lever down, look for the two lugs that come down and then go back up if they're showing the top. They fill in right there, just like the 1886. Okay, see that? That tells you it's only the 1886. They're not going to be using one of those. These are big, just like this, but they're big and beefy and a big cartridge. It's going to be this one. So if you see that coming up like that, and those two lugs coming down, the bottoms of them, it's an 1892. All right, it's this rifle. And guess when it wasn't around before 1892. And then the 1894, I don't have one out, of course, today, but it is. I'm gonna get it out soon. It's hard to tell quickly, if you're looking at it, but it's got a longer, loading gate. Okay, because it's 30-30 and those kinds of cases, kind of 30. 855 and whatever. Okay, so just thought I'd clue you in there so you can observe the mistakes made in the Western shows and the movies. In fact, this is what Lucas McCain carried in 1892. This rifle, right here. His is more the carbine version. I don't think he has the octagonal barrel. Well, it didn't have the octagonal barrel, a shorter barrel, and all that. And of course the the necessary large lever loop, right, to make it really cool. I honestly don't like them. If I had to go to battle with one of these rifles for the next 10 years, and someone said, well, would you like a big lever loop so you can really be combat ready? I'd say, no thanks, don't want it. I shoot it better with this, even my big hands. I grab it just like that, and I don't want that big lever. It's just in the way. I don't like them. Don't like them at all. Not even the slightly larger ones. Now, if I was hunting up in the mountains in Alaska or something, and I was wearing 3 layers of gloves or something, maybe I would. I don't know. At least one of them that's moderately bigger, just a little bigger. The other thing you see in movies is with the handgun. Sometimes I saw one. I swear it was like this morning or last night. I always love it when someone pulls out a Colt. It's almost always a Colt single action, right? They're carrying, and someone says, "Let me see your gun." Yeah, oh man, well balanced. Yeah, special. Yeah, really bad. I mean, I've seen that so many times where someone has a Colt and they're testing the balance. Yeah, got that one just right, don't you? And everything. It's so funny. They're all made the same. It's like if I don't have an iPhone, but if I said, "Let me see your iPhone." Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh man, perfect weight, and where'd you find that one? So they're all the same. The only difference, really, is barrel length, right? I don't know what you would do to make one more balanced. You might change the grips out and make the grips feel better. You might prefer the 4 3/4 inch barrel for the balance over the 5.5 inch or the 7.5 inch. but every 4 3/4 inch barreled Colt single action is going to feel the same in terms of balance, just like every 5.5 inch gun or 7.5. And so it's always funny. I can see the temptation, you know, in the movie world, Hollywood, because, you know, you want to give this gunfighter, he's really special in a lot of ways. You've got the outfit, you know, and the coolness, and they've got him where he can draw and shoot and hit anything in a split second, of course. And you want his gun to even be special, you know, carefully selected or something, you know. I mean, I have no problem if they're talking about the trigger, especially contoured maybe, you know, to the gunfighter's liking, or the action is tuned somehow, or he's got different sights on it. Yeah, I mean, that all could happen, of course. But I mean, got your guns. It's like this. Like if I've got a 1892 with this barrel length and, you know, this gun, just they're both going to feel the same, right? They're both the same weight, you know, everything. You might have a different contour on a stock, I guess, pistol grip or not, but, you know, same gun, same weight, same balance, same feel for the most part. That's always funny. And who would imagine, who could have imagined that Hollywood would not be truthful and they would expect us to believe it, okay? Which, you know, that there's another topic to talk about. But I have learned a lot personally. You would think at my age I would have already learned everything. There'd be nothing left to learn. But through my observations in the last, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, how people, let's not step on anybody's toes too badly here, how people who live their lives based on emotion predominantly, people involved in the creative arts, a lot of people maybe with not a lot of common sense, but are very politically motivated, love to virtue signal, whatever. Okay, you know, kind of the group of folks I'm talking about. Some of them we know and love, right? Love their art and everything. That news media people, a lot of them would fall into that category. A lot of things have kind of gelled for us now, I think. I think we realize now when it has become so obvious that, wow, you just really can't give a lot of credibility to these people. Now we sort of understand, now that they have upped the they're out of control, a lot of people are. Let's put it that way, okay? And in terms of wanting to control everybody, and their motivations are so obvious, and they are so shallow and non-thinking, you know, and expect people and think people are going to believe stuff they come up with and buy it, okay? So as you think back, like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or different things, and I began to put two and two together on incidents that maybe happened 50 years ago even. Well, yeah, okay, knowing what I know now, was that coverage of whatever, Richard Nixon, was he as bad a guy as he's been made out to be? Maybe so. What about the Kennedy assassination? Did that go the way the news media kind of portrayed? I don't know. I mean, I didn't know enough back then to, when any of those big events were going on, to just immediately question the media. Now I do, of course, we all do. And we know their agendas and where they stand politically and everything. So, you know, maybe there has always been a lot of narrative, and we were just not as aware. A lot of people weren't even alive, I realize that, but maybe there was always that narrative, and we just didn't quite realize it. You know, when I was teaching English, and when we would start nonfiction, I would start with my little speech the first day about how, you know, what is nonfiction? You know, what's fiction? What's the difference? And of course, everybody, well, it means it's true. It means it really happened if it's nonfiction, you know, and all that, versus made up if it's fiction. So yeah, kind of. I said, what if I have so what are some categories? If you go to your bookstore or the library of nonfiction, biographies and autobiography, different books that would be classified as nonfiction. And so I would try to stress to them without overdoing it, making too big a deal out of it. But then I said, well, how do you know it's all true, it's all nonfiction if you pull out a book and it's a biography written about Jimmy Carter or Abraham Lincoln or Richard Nixon or George Bush or Barack Obama or whoever? How do you know? Is everything in there true and factual? Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe. How do you know who wrote it? You think it might depend on the author's point of view? Think of somebody you don't like at all. Hopefully there's not a lot of people you hate, or don't like, but what if you were going to write a biography about their life? And what about Jill over here? If she loves that person and she writes a biography about that person, are they going to be the same? Have the same tone? They're going to choose the same incidents in that person's life to tell about, and the same narrative and description and everything. Anyway, but I think we've learned a lot. I think we all have learned a lot, and we need to take those lessons, to heart and be aware of what is going on in society and social media, right? And I know I harp on that too much, but it's I lived in a life and a world a long time without social media, and so even though I sort of escape it, other than this project, I observe it, and in some ways I just think it's funny, it's humorous. But on the other hand, it's not, because it's shaping the world to a large extent. So that's a little scary, isn't it? Because there are a lot of shallow people around, and they want to control us, right? So anyway, enough on that. But I've gotten off the. There I go, saying that again. I've gotten off the topic. There is no topic. Whatever my mouth says is sort of the topic, right? I tell John, we're doing a video the other day, what I said at the end, he laughed, and we finished up, and I didn't even know what I'm going to say till it comes out of my mouth, and that's pretty much the case, right? Surprised I haven't gotten into a lot of trouble, and I've not been canceled. I'm sure that's coming, right? And I'll just have to survive the rest of my life running around the compound, shooting guns, and enjoying nature. That'd be a tough life, wouldn't it? So anyway, I appreciate y'all coming by, and I have not given young people any advice. Let me give you some really quickly. Strive for excellence, young people. I've told you that before. You won't always achieve it, right? But guess what? You definitely won't achieve it if you don't work towards it, right? And ignore the naysayers, ignore the goofballs in your environment, right? If you just acquiesce to them and all the stupid social media pressures and all those you might never do anything. So strive for excellence, whatever it is you're working on, and you'll do well, at least. Okay, and you might be surprised how well you do and how much better your life is than all the naysayers, right? That's another negative about all this crazy shallow thinking and social media affecting and influencing everybody and their thinking and everything they do. I don't know, if anybody's measuring it. Is it measurable? But the collective creativity level of humans, I would guess it's dropped, maybe dramatically, in the last 10 years. I mean, how many people really are thinking outside the box, not afraid to think outside the box and act on it, and create something really interesting, something really useful? I don't know. Just this shallow way of thinking and looking at the world and wanting to control everybody, it's got to have a negative effect in so many ways we can't even measure right now. In 50 years, scientists will look back, and social scientists will look back and probably think, wow, we just about ruined a good thing, society and the republic back in the early 2000s. We just about ruined it, just about did ourselves in thankfully, around hopefully 2021, people began to get sick of it and took the reins back and pushed back and started doing something about it and ignoring the cancel culture and the cancelers, and started saying, come and get me. I'm going to keep doing what I do. And business stood up, grew a backbone, and said, just save your emails, save your cries. We're going on with business. We're sponsoring the people we've been sponsoring, and we're not going to pay attention to the 5% of weirdos of the Twitter mob or the Facebook mob or whatever mob it is. And we got society back, at least to where it was. So I'm hoping that's what will happen. We're all a part of it. We'll help make that decision, won't we? So I'm going to let you go. Like I say, I'm going to be moving around some and in and out, and I may have a little difficulty next week. I don't know, or I may not. So appreciate y'all as always, and as you move through the world, hopefully you have a chance to shoot some things like this, maybe even own them. I feel very, very fortunate that I am able to shoot firearms like this and actually own them, and shoot them when I want, within reason if I have ammo. A 4440 Winchester Model 92 of this age, just like some of the other old firearms I have, Civil War rifles, and actually fire them. M1 Garand, I mean, you name it. If you like firearms and you like history, it's very, very rewarding, and you don't need as many as I have. But pick an area of history you're interested in, and something on your bucket list. Maybe it's on your bucket list just to have a rifle like this. That's enough. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. Or older, in 1873, made in the 1880s. They're out there. I mean, they're a couple thousand, 5,000, depending on the condition, But it's like real estate. It's out there. None of it's cheap, of course. So save your pennies, and you can get into it. Maybe rent one somewhere. I don't know, but you don't tend to find this kind of stuff to rent as much. You can go rent a machine gun, right, in a lot of places, or a pistol like that. But most people are not going to volunteer their vintage firearms to rent. Wear them out. It's understandable. We are the curators of the museum, so to speak, and we want to take good care of them, not overshoot them. Okay, I'll let you go. I've enjoyed you coming out today, and hope I didn't shoot too much, make too much noise for you. I hope you get a chance to shoot. If not, again, get in there and clean your guns. We might have the cleanest guns in the country that we've ever had, right? Because you've had a lot of time to clean guns and not a lot of ammo maybe to shoot them. But things will get better. I think this one is worse than ever, and it's going to take longer to get back, but it will get back. It will. I've seen this too many times. Again, not this bad and not this long, but we've never had these kinds of situations. 8 million new shooters, new gun owners, and the plague, it's just different. And then the politics and the riots and all those sorts of things going on. People want ammo, they want guns, and you can't blame people because a lot of things seem unsettled. And, we humans would like to be able to protect ourselves, right? Excuse me, there I go again. You humans. I will never pretend to be one of those. But glad you came out, and I'll hopefully talk to you next week, if only to say hi and goodbye. How's that? Life is good.